afternoon. Welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. It is the first Thursday of the month, which means it's recipe time. With Labor Day approaching, the kids are back to school, and those lazy days of summer have largely come to an end. It sometimes seems as though there just isn't enough time in the day to get everything done. So whether you're a parent trying to get your family moving in the morning, or whether you're a pro on the go, Chef Marco is in his kitchen to share a couple of quick and easy ways to move into fall.
Hi, I'm Marco Ayala, and I'm here to share another recipe with all of you. It's hard to believe that the kids are going back to school because we're already in September. Also, a lot of professionals are going back to work at the office on site, which means getting up early and fixing breakfast. And if you're not necessarily a morning person, kind of like myself, it's kind of hard to get back in the groove of getting up early, making breakfast. So, talking about this with my good friend Claire Martin from Plattsburgh, New York, she gave me a recipe for the best egg sandwich. And I kept thinking, an egg sandwich is really not all that complicated to make, but turns out that she has this very key and very easy ingredient to make the fluffiest egg sandwich you'll ever taste it. So this is perfect because not only is very tasty, it's very easy to make, but most importantly, you can actually make it ahead and then you have breakfast for most of the week. So let me tell you how to put this together. First, in a large bowl, you're gonna add 8 eggs. And you may be thinking that this is a lot of eggs. However, you need to remember that this is going to make 4 sandwiches, which means that each portion comes down to 2 eggs. Then, for our secret ingredient, you're gonna measure 2/3 cup water. And it's very important that you measure your water correctly, because if you add too little water, the eggs are gonna be rubbery. And if you add too much, then they're gonna be a little sloppy. Add your water to the bowl, season it with salt and pepper. I personally like everything bagel mixed in it. Then you're gonna grease an 8x8 baking dish. Then you're gonna mix the water, eggs, and spices all together until the mixture becomes a light yellow color. Add your egg mixture, and then in a large baking pan, you're gonna add about 1/2 inch water. Set your baking pan in it, and then you're gonna bake it at 300 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes. Now it's important to keep an eye on that mixture because you don't want it to be underdone because it will be watery, but you don't want it overdone because then it will be dry. So make sure that it bounces to the touch, and when you stick a little toothpick in it, it should come out clean.
And Rudy was guarding the oven, but he moved once I told him I would share some of my sandwich.
Once your egg mixture is ready, remove it from the oven and let it cool. Then, when it's time to get your sandwiches ready, you are going to flip it on a cutting board and cut it into 4 equal portions. And now that you have your egg patties ready, it's time to construct those sandwiches. You're gonna take a croissant and you're gonna cut it in half. Add your egg patty, add a protein. In this case, I'm using turkey, but you can use prosciutto or ham.
Add some Vermont cheddar.
Top it with avocado and the top of your croissant, and voila, your sandwich is ready. And if you have any patties left over, you can put them in a container and put them in a fridge for later use. And I am telling you, these sandwiches are good for any day of the week. Even during the weekend, you can make this a brunch plate by just adding some salad to it. In this case, it's a Southwest salad that I made, and with an avocado dressing, which I use the rest of that avocado to make my dressing. So I really hope you give this recipe a try. Like I said, it's very easy to make. You will be surprised what a difference that water makes into the egg part of the sandwich. And now that we have this great recipe for breakfast, I was thinking, how about we use also some of the tomatoes that we probably all have in the garden? So there goes another recipe for breakfast. And this one is for tomato breakfast omelets. And this is a great way to introduce some fresh veggies into your breakfast routine. So let me tell you how to put this together. First, you're gonna take 2 beefsteak tomatoes. Cut the top and the bottom off. Then cut them in half. Cut out the centers and set them aside. But don't be fooled, because there is no waste in this recipe. Then you're gonna take the centers and we're gonna turn it into an omelet. Chop the centers of the tomatoes into small pieces. Cut a bell pepper in half, remove the seeds, and chop it into small pieces. And then add a little bit of chopped onion. Then you're gonna season it with salt and pepper. I also added some cilantro,
2 eggs,
added to the cut of tomatoes. And finally, add some Vermont cheddar. In a greased pan, add your tomato edges, and then fill the hollow parts with your omelet mixture. Once the mixture doesn't look liquidy, you're gonna flip them over. And it's just that easy. You can have breakfast ready in about 15 minutes.
and if you have some leftover egg mixture, you can eat it as scrambled eggs. And yes, in case you're wondering, that is Rudy right on my shirt.
I really hope you give this recipes a try, because it is a really great way to incorporate healthy food into your breakfast diet. And as I usually say, remember that these recipes, along with many others, are available at the Across the Fence website. Also, remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest updates of Across the Fence right in your inbox or your phone. So, from my kitchen to your kitchen, happy cooking and happy back to school.
Thank you, Marco. And don't forget to check the Across the Fence website for our recipe archives. Go to uvm.edu/extension/ATFence and simply click on the link to recipes. You'll find hundreds of different recipes that we've shared with you over the years. The surest path to fresh, healthy food is to grow it yourself. If you're a master gardener, you know all about growing a healthy garden. So next, we're going to visit a lush green garden where master gardeners are volunteering with a charitable organization that provides affordable access to healthy foods. Across the Fence's Rebecca Gollin tells us more from the Upper Valley.
I'm actually going to have you put them in black crates as well. The cabbage, just because it will last longer.
If many hands make light work, then there's good news here at Willingham's Garden in East Thetford.
Historically, the Willingham's Garden has produced about 6 to 8 tons of food a year. This past year was 16,000 pounds, or 8 tons. And we actually doubled the garden this year.
Gabe Zorhide is the executive director of Willingham's. It's a nonprofit based in the Upper Valley that works to reduce food waste and hunger and improve access to healthy food for low-income residents of the area. The organization runs this garden with the help of many willing volunteers.
Willingham's Garden is a partnership between Willingham's and Cedar Circle Farm. Cedar Circle has a 3-day-a-week staff person who helps us with the garden. Otherwise, the garden is really run by 100% volunteer effort. So we have garden leaders who come out and lead teams of volunteers 2 or 3 days a week to grow the crops, and from putting them in the soil, cultivating, weeding, everything, and harvesting.
This isn't just a little garden.
It's not just a little garden, and it's a lot of work. I don't think I put 2 hours at a time in my own garden anymore. But you know, you get talking, and you're picking, or you're planting, or you're weeding, and the time does go by, and you're forming friendships, bonds.
Here's the most beautiful large leaf.
Patty Sarah first heard about Willingham's when she was going through the University of Vermont Extension's Master Gardener course.
At the end of the program, of the Master Gardener program, they always have speakers come from different groups that are wanting some volunteer work. And this, I don't know, seemed like it fit. I love to cook. The idea of growing organic food for people, that's right up my alley.
Over the years, a number of Master Gardeners have volunteered at the garden.
One of our volunteer leaders is going through the Master Gardener program, and her mentor is also one of our longtime volunteers who got involved through the Master Gardener program. She's actually going to be working on a hoop house, which is be our first sort of season extension project within the Willing Hands Garden, and that's going to be a Master Gardeners project. So we're really, we've had a long history of having involvement from the Master Gardeners program, and we're looking really at deepening that with specific projects that they can take the lead on.
Projects like the hoop house are important for Willing Hands because the garden is the only food source they control. All of the food the organization distributes is either donated, gleaned from nearby farms, or grown right here.
After sort of a winter of getting the surplus from grocery stores, people love to see the fresh stuff.
Willing Hands operation manager Jim McCracken started volunteering to fulfill his Master Gardener hours as well, before moving into his current position. He's in charge of making sure that the food that comes in gets where it needs to go. That's to food shelves, senior centers, and other local nonprofits that fight hunger. Helping to get fresh produce to people in his own community is one of the most rewarding parts of the job.
Well, fresh produce is probably one of the most expensive parts of a grocery bill, and so by getting this fresh produce, they have a healthier diet having access to it is the whole idea. So our mission is providing that and providing it weekly. The food bank does drops and things like that, but that's once a month. The good thing about Willing Hands is that we're there, and they're going to know we're there every week of the year, so they can change their diet.
Growing, collecting, and delivering fresh food to their neighbors in need. These volunteers in East Thetford have a hand to lend. At the Willing Hands Garden, I'm Rebecca Gullen with Across the Fence.
For more information on the outstanding work being done by Willing Hands, you can check their website, willinghands.org. And that's our program for today. Once again, thank you for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.